When you inherit a house in Florida, there's another question that usually shows up early on. What happens to the mortgage? And sadly, the answer is the part people are not ready for. Nothing pauses, not the payment, not the taxes or insurance, and not the HOA. The legal side of an estate could take a while to sort out, and none of those things wait for it to finish. So let me give you what to do about that, starting with a phone call you should make as soon as possible. Hi, I'm Laura DiPaolo, Florida native and realtor here in Central Florida, and I hold a certified probate real estate specialist designation. I work alongside probate attorneys across Hillsborough, Seminole, Orange, and West Volusia County. And I'm going to be straight with you about this one. The biggest questions people have about an inherited mortgage are not mine to answer. Whether you can take over the payments, whether the lender can require it to be paid off, who is responsible for the debt. Those are legal and lender questions that only they can answer. But what I can do is tell you exactly who to ask and what to ask them. Then I handle my part, which is telling you what this house is actually worth and what is left once that mortgage is paid off. First thing, call the loan servicer. That is whoever the payments are being sent to, and it's usually printed right on the statement. Now, fair warning, that first call is often frustrating, and I want you to expect it so you do not take it personally. They may not be able to discuss the loan with you at all until you've established who you are and what your standing is. This is not them being difficult. There are rules about who they can talk to. So let them know the owner has passed. Ask them, what do you need from me before we can have a real conversation? Write the list down and get them what they need over to them. Then once they will talk to you, here's what you need to know. What is the current balance? What is the full payoff amount, which are two totally different numbers? Is the account current or is it behind? Are taxes, insurance escrowed in this payment? And what are your options here as someone who has inherited this property? That last one is the important one. Let them tell you. Do not assume and do not let anybody on the internet tell you what your options are because each lender is different. Second, and this is where I can help you. Once you know what is owed, you need to know what the property is actually worth today, because those two numbers together are the only thing that determines what your family can realistically do moving forward. And I want to be clear about what I mean by worth, not what it sold for years ago, not what a website estimate says, and not what a neighbor says they got. What it would actually sell for in this market in this current condition. That number minus the payoff is the real equity. And until your family has that number, every conversation about this house is people guessing at each other. When you put these two numbers side by side, you land in one of three places. 1, there is meaningful equity. Great. This is the most common situation I see, especially with a home that is owned a long time. Now the conversation becomes a real choice about what to do with the property, and you have options and you have time to consider them. 2, the equity is thin. This one needs care because selling a house is not free. There are closing costs, there may be repairs, there's the cost of carrying the property while everything gets sorted out. Thin equity can quietly turn into no equity by the time you actually close, and I would rather show you what math is up front than have you find out at the closing table. And lastly, the property is underwater. More is owed than it's worth. It happens and it's not the end of the road. There are ways to handle it, and I have worked those transactions. But that is a very different plan, and the sooner you know, the more room you have to work with. Nobody wants to find out which of the three they are in months from now. Fortunately, this could be figured out within a day after the realtor has viewed the house in person. Oh, and fourth, when you're figuring this out, what the property costs to hold, the mortgage payment is not the whole photo. Property taxes keep coming, insurance has to stay in place, and as I covered last week, vacant property coverage in Florida has its own conversation. HOA or condo dues keep accruing whether anybody lives there or not, utilities need to stay on, and the lawn needs to be cut. Add those up and write down the monthly number. This is the number that usually drives the decision about how quickly to move with a sale. And ask the servicer directly what happens if a payment gets missed and plan around it. Do not assume anything will be put on hold. Oh, one more. When you get that statement, look at what kind of loan it actually is. If it turns out to be a reverse mortgage, and that is more common than people expect with a home inherited from an older parent, call that servicer right away. Reverse mortgages work very differently, and they have their own process and their own timing. Not better or worse, just different. And that is a conversation to start immediately rather than in a few months. For anything about your legal standing, what you are authorized to do, or who is responsible for what, talk to a Florida probate attorney. For anything about tax side, talk to a tax professional. If you need a name for either one in Central Florida, I'm glad to point you towards someone. If you have inherited a property in Hillsborough, Seminole, Orange, or West Volusia County, call me. I'm Laura DiPaolo with eXp Realty, and you can reach me at area code 813-951-0657. No cost, no obligation, no pressure to list anything. Please like and subscribe to my channel so you can catch my future videos, and please take care of yourself. You do not have to do this alone.